Hi guys, today I'm going to be going through some more cool solutions to some 5x5 cross-edge cases that might otherwise be quite tricky. I've done a video a little bit like this before where I just went through some of the most common cases and gave you some alternative solutions that might be faster, and that's basically again what I'm going to be doing today. I've gone through the rest of the cases and I've picked some cases that are quite common but also could be quite tricky if you don't know certain ways of approaching them, so that's what I'm going to be showing you today. Okay, so I am just going to be showing you these cases on 5x5 because a lot of them don't apply to 4x4, and while they do apply to 6x6 and 7x7, it's basically just in the same way that I'm going to show you. So I'll just show you on a 5x5 for simplicity, but I will be showing you all of the mirrors because that can be quite important and it could change how you finger trick them. So this is the first case. As you can see, we have our left-hand wing solved, we have our right wing that's oriented in the U layer, and we have our midge that's misoriented in the U layer. And here we have the midge in the front and the other wing on the left. And if you were to say just insert the midge, that would still leave this wing oriented, which is not good. So what you can do instead is you can pair these two pieces in the U layer and then insert this piece and these two all at the same time. And the way you can do that is with L wide prime, U prime, L wide, U prime, L wide prime, U prime, L wide, F prime. And so then this is the mirror. As you can see, we have our right hand wing solved this time. The midge is in the same place and the left wing is oriented and in the U layer, and this time it's on the right. So again, same idea. We compare them in the U layer with R wide, U, R wide prime. And now we can insert these together with U, R wide, U, R wide prime, F, just like that. Next up, we have this case, which I really didn't like until I found this solution, and now it's one of the more consistent ones for me. So we have, again, our left wing solved, our right wing is oriented in the U layer, this time it's in the front, and our midge is oriented in the front left slot. So all the pieces are oriented and they're all really close to each other, which you wouldn't necessarily think is a good case. But what you can do here is you can do F, R wide, U, R wide 2, F prime, 3R wide, U prime, and then an M, just like that. So what you're effectively doing there is really just inserting one piece at a time, but with a lot of cancellations. And so then next up we have this case, which is the mirror, and you can do the exact mirror of the previous solution, which would look like F prime, L wide prime, U prime, L wide 2, F, 3L wide prime, U, M. However, you might have noticed that when we do that first move, that F prime, we're now actually just set up to this case where we have the midge in the top and it's misoriented and both of the wings here. And that's also just the setup move for the previous case. So as you can see here, we have the first case where all the pieces are on the left-hand side, and that's just an F2 away from the mirror. And so what that means is if the first move of the first case is an F to set up to this, then the first move of the mirror case, being an F prime, sets up to the same thing. So you don't have to do the left-handed moves if you want to, if it feels more comfortable. For this case, you can do an F prime first, and now from here you can just do the same solution as we did before. So an alternative solution for this case is F prime, R wide, U, R wide 2, F prime, 3R wide, U prime, M, just like that. So that's where you can make an adjustment if you favour right-handed turning or left-handed turning. And I think in this case it's best to just try out both cases and see which one you prefer. That's what I did, and I discovered that I prefer righty dominant moves, unsurprisingly. So next up we have this case, which is also another one of my favourites. So again, we have our left wing solved, we have our midge in the front left slot and it's misoriented this time, and then we have our other wing that's misoriented in the top layer. And so what we can do here is we can use the 3R wide U2 3R wide prime technique, but we can use it instead of at the end of the solution, we can put it in the middle of the solution. And so what we can do is we can put this wing at the back, we can do an F to orient this and put it in the top, and then we can insert those two with 3R wide U2 3R wide prime, and then we can cancel into inserting this piece, which is going to end up here, and that'll be cancelled into a 3 mover. So all in all, it's a pretty ergonomic solution, and there's a couple of ways you can think about it. So the solution is the same each time, but you could think about it as U2, F, L wide, F2, L wide 2, U prime, L wide, like that. Or if you prefer to think about it in more righty terms, you can think about it as U2, F, 3R wide, U2, 3R wide 2, F prime, 3R wide. It's the same thing. And so then we have the mirror of that case. You can see the right wing is solved. The left wing this time is in the U layer misoriented, and the midge is misoriented in front right. And so here again, you can think about it in both ways. I'll just tell you one of them because the algorithm is the same, but the same idea applies. So you can do U2, F prime, R wide prime, F2, R wide 2, U, R wide prime. Okay, so next up there's this, and I've talked about this case before. You may know that a good solution for this case is to set up to 3R wide U2, 3R wide prime like this. But the case I'm going to show you is actually a move shorter, and it goes from this angle, where you have the wing in the back, and the midge flipped and the other wing solved. And what you can do here is like a wide hedge, and then cancel into 3R wide U2, 3R wide prime. So what that looks like from here, you would do a U2, and then F, 3R wide prime, F prime, 3R wide 2, U2, 3R wide prime. And so for this set, where you have the left wing solved and the midge flipped in DF, any case where the remaining wing, wherever it is on the cube, any case where it's misoriented, you can always set up to this case. And that's something in my document that you'll see if you go onto this subset. All of the cases are either the wing is misoriented or the wing is oriented. And if the wing is oriented, all you do is you set up to this case, which is another very easy one. And if the wing is misoriented, you just set up to this case, you do it from this angle. But you can also set up to this angle, and this is where this alternative solution comes in more handy, because the starting angle for this other solution is here. And if this piece is on the right-hand side of the cube, then it takes more moves to set up because you need to do another move to bring it back over to the right. Whereas for this solution, starting with the wing in the back, it's always going to be 3 moves to set it up to this position, whichever slot it's in. So for example, if you had this case, as you can see, our wing is misoriented in FR. We can set it up to the back with just R, U prime, R prime, and then we can do our solution F, 3R wide prime, F prime, 3R wide 2, U2, 3R wide prime, just like that. Same if it's in front left, we can do L prime, U, L to set up. I'm not going to show you the alg again because you know what it is now. Then if we have it in back right, we can do R prime, U prime, R. And if it's in back left, we can do L, U, L prime. And then so the mirror of this case, as you would expect, you can do the same thing. So here we've got our right wing solved and the left wing is in the U layer, so we put it in the back. And again, a bit like the last case here, you can choose to think about it in a slightly different way if that helps, think about how you would finger trick it or visualize the alg or whatever. So one way you could think about it, again, with the wing in the back, you can think about it as F prime, 3L wide, F, 3L wide 2, U2, 3L wide. Or if you prefer to think about it in righty dominant terms, we can think about it as F prime, R wide, U, R wide 2, F2, R wide. And I'm not going to go through all of these because you should know by now that the principle works. But again, if the wing is misoriented and in any of the slots, you can always in 3 moves set it up to the back up here. So here, for example, you can do R, U prime, R prime, and then you just have this same case. And that works for every slot as before. Okay, so next up we have this case. And here, this one might be slightly more awkward because it uses wide R and wide L moves in the same solution and sort of interchangeably. So it's important to pay attention to your grip and your finger tricks here. This is one of the ones that just may not be faster for you, but I found it is faster for me, so I'm going to show it anyway. And here, what we can do is we can use the fact that from here, if we forget about this cross edge for a second, we know that this pattern of these 2 edges with the midge solved, if we insert this one, then this is going to get flipped. And so it turns into a nicer case, as you can see. That's one of the more common sort of influencing tricks. And as it turns out, we can use that in our solutions for cases like this. So what we did to set up to that case was an L prime move. But as you can see, that left us with this. And, you know, we could slice this up or something like that to insert this. But then why not just do our first move as an L wide prime instead of just an L prime move? So what the solution looks like in full is L wide prime, R wide, U prime, R wide prime, U prime, L wide. For the execution of this, I would recommend having at least one of your thumbs on front in home grip. It's quite difficult to do with both your thumbs on front. So I would recommend doing the first, because it's the first and the last move, the L wide moves, I'd recommend having your thumb on bottom with your left hand. So you can do the first move, the one move setup, and now you're in home grip again. And then you can do the middle moves like that and then finish. Very similar idea for the mirror here. This time, because you want to be doing the R wide moves first, you want to start with your thumb, your right thumb on bottom. And so the solution for this case looks like R wide, L wide prime, U, L wide, U, R wide prime. A very similar case here. Again, we have our midge solved and we have the two wings in the front. This time we still have this one here, misoriented. This time this one is also directly opposite it and it's misoriented. So there are no pieces in the U layer. And this case is symmetrical, so this is just one unique case. There's no mirror for this one. And so you can use a similar idea of R wide and L wide moves together. And you're basically just going to insert these pieces sort of at the same time and force both insertions to be good. And so the solution we can do here, and again, the first and the last move are going to be an R wide move. So I'd recommend starting with your left hand in home grip and your right hand with thumb on bottom for this. And you can execute it as R wide, U prime, L wide prime, U2, L wide, U, R wide prime. Next up we have this, which is another fairly common case. Again, if you were to just insert this wing as a 4 mover, it's tempting, but it leaves this other wing oriented in the U layer, so we don't want to do that. And so what we could do is insert it with a U2, and then we have this, and then insert it like that, but that uses actually in total 3 U2s in that solution, which I definitely don't recommend, especially because you're already switching between R and L moves, so it could be a bit difficult to execute. And there's also a one move more efficient solution, which is what I'm going to show you now. And so again, you're going to want to start with one thumb on bottom, and that's going to be the left thumb in this case. So from a U2 angle with this wing in the back, we can do L wide prime, R wide, U prime, R wide prime, U2, L wide. And then for the mirror case, we can do a very similar idea. Again, this time you're going to want to start with your right thumb on the bottom. So from the U2 angle, again, this wing in the back, we can do R wide, L wide prime, U, L wide, U2, R wide prime, like that. Now, there's another solution I want to show for this because it could also be pretty good. It's, again, a very similar idea, uses R wide and L wide moves. It's the same length, and it's also, it does use 2 U2 moves, but that's still one fewer than the solution that I showed you right at the start. So you can also, from this angle now, instead with this wing at the front, you can do R wide, U2, L wide prime, U2, L wide, U, R wide prime. And then again, the mirror, works exactly as you would think. You can do L wide prime, U2, R wide, U2, R wide prime, U prime, L wide. So again, as with one of the cases that I showed you before, that one's pretty much just a toss-up between your personal preference. I like to use the first one because one of the advantages of the first one is that the first move is just a U2 to set up. So the actual pure solution for that case is even shorter. And it means that should you get the wing in the U layer at any of the 4 different angles, it's still the same length because that includes the setup move. So it's just down to personal preference, but I prefer the first one of those. So next up we have this case where again we have one piece that's a 4 mover. If we were to insert it, it doesn't affect this one. And this is it's a fine case, but it's not that efficient. and there is a much more efficient way to solve both of these pieces at the same time. And this one's slightly less intuitive. What we're going to do is we're going to set up to the R wide prime F2, R wide F2 trigger. And that's going to cancel us a move. And it may not be immediately obvious how you can do this. What we can do is we can do a wide move trigger to bring this piece up to here and keep this piece here relative. So that trigger, as you can see, goes like that. And then we will have an opportunity, because the last move was an R wide prime, we can have an opportunity to cancel in to the 4 move trigger. So what that solution looks like in full for this case from this angle, we can do U, R wide, U prime, R wide 2, F2, R wide, F2. And you'll notice that during that that last R wide move, I did a regrip with this hand to do the last F2, but you know, doing it fast, it's a good way to execute. And with the solution that I've talked about for this case before, where you start off with like a 4R wide move to then turn it into R wide and U moves, which is a bit more ergonomic, that means the cancellation is slightly more difficult on this. So you could do something like this, which is a bit harder, and you know, I don't think that doing the regrip here is that bad, because it is just this one case in the mirror, and it does make it very efficient. So I think it is probably worth it. It's a bit annoying to have to do that regrip, but you know, I think it is worth it. And so the same again, we have this mirror case. This time it's the right wing that's in the U layer and the left wing that's in the front left slot. And so very similar idea, we can just do U prime, L wide prime, U, L wide 2, F2, L wide prime, F2. And again, it's, you know, it's a little bit awkward to have to do that regripping, but I think it's still a pretty fast solution. Finally, we do have a pretty unique case to finish. We've got the midge solved, and both of the wings are in the same slot and they're in the same orientation, and this time they're in the back right. And so what we can do here is actually a 5 move solution to solve these two pieces. It does include slice moves, so you probably won't execute it as like 5 moves. But what you can do here that's very cool is you can hide the midge, bring both of these two pieces to the front, and then reinsert the midge. And so we can do that by doing a small m, d, r, d prime, small m prime, just like that. And the mirror, exactly the same idea. This time they're in BL, and they're again oriented, both of the wings. We can do an M slice like that, and then D prime, L prime, D, and then an M prime. And finally, I do just want to point out that this case does work for when these two wings are oriented and in a front slot. However, I do think there's a better solution. So I'll just recap both of them. So you can do the same idea, just like that, and it works the same on the left. But I do think a better solution here is, again, a setup to the R wide prime F2, R wide F2 case. And so again, that will require one regrip this time, just the one. If it's on the right, you're going to want to put your left thumb on the bottom. And then what we're going to do is we're going to do a sledge, and that will bring these two pieces up to here. So we can do, from this angle, thumb on bottom, we can do R prime, F, R, F prime, R wide prime, F2, R wide, F2. And same idea for this case on the left. This time you're going to want to start with your thumb, your right thumb on the bottom, and it's just exactly the same in the mirror. We can do L, F prime, L prime, F, L wide, F2, L wide prime, F2. So yeah, there you go. That was a selection of some of the more common, probably not apart from that last one, but some of the more common Hoya cross-edge cases that you might encounter, and the ones that could be quite tricky or suboptimal if you don't know a good way to do them. So hopefully the ways that I've shown you to approach these cases in this video have been very helpful. And yeah, I think that's about all of the sort of the random sort of tips like this that I have. A lot of the fastest solutions for each of the cases are pretty intuitive or obvious, or like there's going to be one clear best solution. A lot of these solutions are going to be roughly equal in speed to some of the alternatives. So definitely I would advise checking out all of the possible solutions to some of these cases, trying them all out and just seeing which one you can do fastest or most consistent. So yeah, that's all for this video. Hope this helps, and thanks a lot for watching.